Over the next 40 minutes or so, we're going to have some presentations of various kinds, each one lasting no more than 10 minutes. So we'll get 10 minutes from our presenters. Hopefully you'll take away something interesting from what they say, and then we'll move on to the next presenter. We're going to be covering everything from understanding open data to social value when tendering and, well, the F word which keeps cropping up, franchising. So we're going to start our session now with, it kind of follows on really from what we did in the last session, which was looking at well-being and health of drivers. We're going to be looking at the importance of inclusive cab design. What is it? Why is it so important? Well, I'll let our speakers explain. They're a double act. It's Caroline Ward, is D&I Lead with Women in Transport and founder of Jaw Consultants, and Ian Downie is head of Yutong UK, Pelican Bus and Coach. Please make them welcome.
Hello, good afternoon. So, without further ado, I'll take you through our presentation. So, as you can see on the screen there, the D&I Bus Group, part of Women in Transport, was established about 5 years ago now. We're a like-minded group of people, and we, every year, set ourselves some objectives. And the reason we do that, I'm sure you understand, is it's great to have a conversation and chat about stuff, but if you want to make a difference, you need to have some actions planned. So on the screen there, you can see our objectives that we've had for this current year. Probably fairly self-explanatory. I would just draw your attention to thought leadership piece there. That's about getting that diverse thought and understanding out into the industry. So it's attending events like this, it's being on panels, thanks to Dal, who was on the previous panel. It's about getting our voice out into the transport media and actually wider. It's being in at the start. Recruitment and retention is fairly self-explanatory. You've heard about, hopefully, the equity index. Data is everything. That we know that there's inequality, we know that there is not great representation. We instinctively know that, but we need some data, so we work around that as well. Women's safety on bus, and an online resource that we've put together called the Inclusive Employment Journey. But there's actually another really big objective that we're hugely proud of. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. So that's about the inclusive cab design. So what we wanted to do was focus on, a holistic approach. And when we talk about inclusion, we do mean for everybody, all genders. How can we improve that really important working space? You heard, if you were here for the previous speakers, the well-being of our teams of drivers, hugely important. So how do we make their space really comfortable? And actually, what would keep them not just joining us, but actually staying with us and feeling valued and listened to. And our objective is really clear, actually. We want to build what we're calling the Gold Charter Standard. So that would be a minimum standard, but actually, at gold standard amounts. And the first thing we did was we actually ran a survey and we asked drivers right across the UK. And we also piggybacked some information with one of our great partners, First Bus, who had conducted their own survey in this area. And what we actually did was we all came together for a summit back in March of this year. This was really breaking new ground, and First Bus hosted for us at Leicester, and we're hugely, really pleased for that. Actually, there were 30 organisations in the summit. There are also a large number of vehicles, and you can see some of those in that photograph. We had people from operations and engineering, we had trade union, we had CPT, we had key manufacturers, suppliers, and also Bus Users UK. That whole thing about being inclusive, it's about our current staff, our future staff, and of course it's about our customers. The more I feel valued when I'm doing my role, that the better experience and the better ambassador I'm going to be. We also had a keynote speaker, Mike Adams OBE from Purple Tuesday, and that organisation advises companies on how best to become inclusive and accessible. And you could really feel the energy in the room. We had the users of the cabs with the drivers. We had the managers who need to, support the well-being of their staff. And we had manufacturers and engineers who perhaps have been thinking about things, but how do we actually take an idea and make it real? And if we're going to invest time and money, is it really what people need and that they want? So, how do we actually push this forward? Well, the great news is the story continues. We've shared our findings. We're all really committed to keeping this conversation going. I'm here today telling you about it. The exciting news is that we have another summit coming up, really manufacturer-focused. We're jointly hosted at that new summit, which will be in February by National Express West Midlands and Chapman Seating. And actually, I don't know if Jerry's here, but if you get a chance, please go and look at the trial seat that NatX and Chapman have actually just put out this week. It's absolutely amazing. We really want to get that best practice as we push towards the gold standard. So I'm now going to hand over to Ian from Yutong UK, who are really leading the way in the improvements in the inclusive cab design. Thank you.
Thanks, Caroline. That was really good. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. A little bit about Yutong. We're quite big. Over the past 10 years, we've produced 575,000 vehicles, and in 1 year's production, we could change every bus and coach here in the UK. We're leading on zero-emission vehicles as well, and currently we have 200,000 zero-emission vehicles in service, and they've completed 44.5 billion kilometres of operation. Last year, we actually sold 36,000 vehicles in that calendar year. We can produce up to 60,000 vehicles a year. We're number one in the world, so in the world's market we have 10% market share. We have 36% market share in China, and we've been number one in China for 21 consecutive years. Our global market share is 10%, but a lot of people think with Chinese products it's just one vehicle, but we sell single decks, double decks, Euro 4, Euro 5, Euro 6, hydrogen, electric, gas, everything. We spend £178 million a year, or 5% of our turnover, on research and development. And we actually have a 10-hectare site where we do all different testing in terms of seats, instead of cab design, heating, cooling, and the full gambit. Pelican itself are the UK importer for Yutong. So we've been in business since 1919, and we've been importing Yutong products since 2014. We're going up to about 1,500 vehicles by the end of next year. But diversity and inclusion. We actually have 50% of our senior Pelican team are female. It was 40%, it's now 50%. We comply with ethical trading. We have no zero hours contracts, no slave labour, nothing like that, no imported labour into the UK. And we also have very inclusive, so it's very expensive to get married in China, so we actually have weddings in the factories to keep costs down. But when we look at cab design, and when we're looking at both ergonomics and anthrometrics, I knew I struggled with that word. So we analyse the drivers, we analyse the passengers. We look at a data stream of 575,000 vehicles in 140 different countries. We test the vehicles rigorously, and the results is that we have optimised the driver's area. We have user-friendly things like electric handbrakes, electric sunblinds, very comfortable seats that have also got heating, cooling, and even a massage function if required. The steering wheel is actually optimised so it can actually move to suit all different heights and sizes of drivers. But that's what we've done based upon our research. But I think the women in transport, you've got such an important role to play. And I'd like to leave you just one slide, which I think tries to give you an example of what you guys are actually fighting against and what we are fighting with as well. Here's an example matrix that manufacturers are asked to complete. Number 1 down to number 17 talks about adult male. Number 19 to number 21 talks about children. There's a gender missing on this slide. And I want to be next year or the year after, if we're doing this again, I would like to see male, female and children, because we should have an inclusive organisation and an inclusive transport system. Was that within 10 minutes? Okay. I'm just trying to rush you a bit. Can we ask questions then? Within 1 minute?
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
I'd like to ask one question.
Yes.
How many takers do they get for having weddings in a factory? And do you have to work there, or could you just have this urge to have a themed wedding in a bus factory?
Last month, 40 couples got married.
Wow.
But you have to be an employer. So if you want to come and build a bus,
But on the other hand, for these people here, it could just become a sideline for you to generate some income. Have your wedding in our bus depot. It could work.
It could
anyway,
work.
Ian, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And for your presentation as well, Caroline. Thank you.